Are periods really disgusting? Spoiler alert, no, they're not. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to my channel. My name is Soda2. If you're new here, hi, hello, and welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you're returning, thank you so much for subscribing. Today's video, I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm 26 years old, and it wasn't until I was probably like 25 that I actually stopped being disgusted by my period. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to like unlearn a lot of the things that I was socialized and to learn new things about my body. So I want to share those things with you. So this video will be broken up into 3 parts, I guess. So the first part, I'm just going to be talking about why periods are taboo. I found a website and they were talking about like the ancient beliefs that surrounded periods and why it is that like people still see periods as a bad thing because of those ancient beliefs. Pliny the Elder, who is a scholar from ancient Rome, wrote about his beliefs regarding women's periods. He believed that women's periods could stop hailstorms, whirlwinds, and lightning. And he also believed that women's periods could kill crops and bees, that women's periods could dim mirrors and blunt weapons, as well as drive dogs mad, which all of these things aren't really positive things. So for a scholar of his time to write about women's periods in this manner, it can just give you a glimpse of how the people of the time might have viewed women on their periods or periods in general. In medieval times, periods were tied to shame because it was like a religious shame, that it was a punishment that came from a sin. So women were kind of expected to deal with the pains of periods on their own. There weren't any remedies that were offered to women when they were on their periods because it was tied to shame. In 19th century Britain, menstruating women weren't allowed to churn butter or to cure ham. In the 1920s, Bella Schenck, a Venetian scientist, wrote about their belief that women's skin during menstruation released certain chemicals or released substances that could kill crops. So along the same lines of what Pliny the scholar was saying. And also, even in modern day, there are some societies that when women are on their periods, they're isolated from the rest of their group, so the rest of their tribe or the rest of their family, and they're to spend time in a hut or in an isolated room or something like that, away from everybody else, because menstruation and periods are still viewed in a negative light. So now that we've gotten the ancient beliefs that were misinformed and very negative in nature, I'm going to get into the science of periods and what periods actually are. My sources are mainly Flow, which is an app that I would recommend that you can track your period, and that also gives you information in general about what your period is and what's going on in your body while you're menstruating. It also tells you about like your ovulation, so if you're trying to get pregnant or anything like that, it's a really great app. And I also got some of my information from Sister Angelica or the Village Auntie on Instagram. So a menstrual cycle lasts anywhere normally from 21 to 35 days. And it is signaled or started by our periods. We lose anywhere from 1 to 6 tablespoons of blood during our menstrual cycle. What happens is when our period is starting, our endometrium, which is the lining of our uterus, it's softening in order to prepare for a potential pregnancy. And so when that pregnancy doesn't happen, the lining of our uterus begins to shed. While the endometrium lining in our uterus is shedding, there are blood vessels that tear, which causes the bleeding. It is normal, usually, for our bodies to experience pain during our period. So we might experience cramps or just like abdominal pain in general. And that's due to the fact that our uterus is contracting in order to expel that endometrium lining. And there are also hormones within our body, such as prostaglandins, which are hormone-like substances which increase the contractions of our uterus because it's trying to help get rid of that lining. And that is why we might experience cramps and pain when we are on our period. The length of your period usually depends. It depends on what you're eating, it depends on your lifestyle, it depends on your genetics and things of that nature. But typically for the first 3 to 5 days, we are bleeding when we're on our period. The first 1 to 2 days of our periods are usually the heaviest. And then towards the end, after our uterus lining is expelled, our unfertilized egg is also expelled, and that is typically the sign of the ending of your period. Periods are officially over when you no longer see blood in your discharge, and this means that like you're not seeing any brown or yellowish substances, you're just seeing a clear or a whitish substance that is coming out. So I'm not explaining this as well as I wish I could. So I will be linking Village Auntie's video down below where she explains how do you know your period is over. She gives little visuals as well, so that way you can actually like see what is the ending of your period. Our periods, going back to what I started at the beginning to explain what they are, it is basically our body's reaction to the fact that we didn't get our eggs fertilized, so our body prepares itself for pregnancy. When that doesn't happen, our periods start. So it's a very natural process. So now that we know what periods are, the last part of this video, we're gonna do the illumination part of this video, which is basically just like trying to see things from a different perspective and trying to unlearn societal or cultural beliefs that were instilled in us that might have misinformed us or led us to believe that our periods are less than normal or disgusting. I know personally growing up, a lot of the times I felt very shy to bring up the fact that I was on my period around my family. I also felt very shy to not pray with everybody else or to not fast with everybody else when I was on my period. I kind of would like hide in my room and eat. But as I've gotten older, I feel like that shame has like slowly deteriorated. And I think it's been because I've been informing myself, learning more about my own body, learning more about periods in general, learning also about what my religion has to say about periods. And that has definitely helped to reduce all these negative emotions that I have regarding my period. As I mentioned before, Sister Angelica, or the Village Auntie, has definitely played a huge role in this, in that she gives such useful information regarding periods. She's also done an Instagram video where she talked about ways that you can still be very spiritual, or you can be very practicing while on your period during Ramadan, for example. A lot of times I think what I associated with my period was just like impurity because of the fact that I couldn't pray, and you can't pray because you don't have your wudu. And usually the explanation that I heard was that it's because you're impure or you're dirty, which definitely is not going to give me a positive feeling about my period. But from what I've learned, it's that you can't pray when blood is leaving your body at any point. Even if you were to have a cut on your arm and it's continuously bleeding and not ending, you can't pray. And according to Dr. Bilal Ware, who is also another Instagram account that I really love, he was talking about how blood is sacred. Blood is the thing that is your lifeline, basically. And so that is why when women are on their periods, it's a sacred time, and therefore we don't pray, or we're not asked to exert ourselves or do anything like fasting. And that really helped to like change my perspective on my period, when I saw it as like, oh, when I'm menstruating, I'm in a sacred state of being. I'm in a very like delicate state of being, and the fact that like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed me to take a break from the things that might have been mandatory for me before I was on my period, and I can focus on taking care of myself and replenishing myself and rejuvenating myself. Another thing is to recognize that like we shouldn't be so secretive about things that are natural that happen to our bodies. And I think the more we talk about them, the less we feel negative emotions towards our periods. Also, the more that we talk about them, the less we have misinformation regarding periods. I know I learned about periods when I was in middle school, but I didn't know like the ins and outs of periods till it actually happened. I would have appreciated if somebody had sat me down and talked to me about maybe how to use sanitary products, what are ways that I can care for myself physically, emotionally, mentally when I'm on my period. I think it would have been really helpful. So I think that we should definitely move away from being so shy to talk about something that's so natural. Like periods are part of the cycle of life. I don't think we should be so shy to talk about it or be so squeamish about it. And I think that we should also move away from shame, because it is a naturally occurring bodily function, something that, if you're going to see it in a religious context, something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted us with or has given to us as women. And so it shouldn't be something that we're going to be shamed for. It's kind of like shaming somebody for sleeping or shaming somebody for needing to eat or drink water. Like, it's a natural part of their nature. Hello. I think we should also stop making women and girls feel shy to talk about their pain. So if you're cramping, if you're tired, if you're not in the mood to talk to somebody, I think it should be normalized that we can talk about that there shouldn't be shame to the point where women who aren't fasting have to hide in their rooms to eat. Like, they should be able to eat openly, and it's okay. Personally, I think we should also talk to children, like from the age that they can understand about periods, whether they are girls or boys. Both can benefit from learning about them. I really would like to hear you guys sound off in the comment section. what are your feelings towards your period, or have your feelings towards your period changed as you've gotten older? And let me know in the comment section as well if you would like for me to put together a second video where I wanted to talk about like period pains and remedies, as well as like tips and hacks for when you're on your period. Share this with a friend, share this with a family member, share this with a neighbor, and please make sure to give this video a like if you liked it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Assalamu alaikum. Till then, peace and love. Bye bye.